The InDev mobs. Imagine this, you are venturing into early Minecraft and all of a sudden you see what appears to be another player who is gliding weirdly with no movement whatsoever. Welcome to Minecraft's weirdest chapter, the InDev humanoid mobs. In January 2010, in InDev version 0.31 of the game Java Edition, 4 strange humanoid entities existed within the world of Minecraft: Steve, Black Steve, Rana, and Beast Boy. Yes, you heard right, the famous DC character was present back in the early days of the game. These cute little guys were not your average mobs. They weren't intended to be playtestable by players. They were development tools to be used solely to experiment with and understand how mobs would work. Basically being used for Minecraft's experimental era, while the game was still establishing itself. What was so odd about these mobs was how they behaved. Picture walking around someone who is never still, but never switches positions, and who simply glides along the ground as if they are on invisible roller skates. That's precisely what these 4 did. The truth is that they had no animation then, since they were just tests for mob behavior. When today's Minecraft mobs walk, run, and move their limbs of their own accord, InDev mobs were frozen in place. They jump between blocks and traverse terrain, but always in that same unsettling stiff posture. It was as if you were observing mannequins brought to life. These 4 spawned all around the world and were totally passive, meaning they would not attack you regardless of what you do to them. When you kill them, things became even weirder. Most mobs in Minecraft flash red or white before dying. That didn't apply to these fellows. They'd simply disappear and be erased from existence, like specters evaporating in the thin air. But before they'd vanish, they'd drop some really random loot: string, feathers, gunpowder, and if you were exceptionally lucky, the rare flint and steel. Mob and monster entity. The monster and mob entities are opposite in personality yet identical twins. 2 sides of the same strange coin that best exemplified early Minecraft experimental chaos. The 2 shared the same exact appearance, looking just like the default Steve skin. While Mob was the carefree traveler, happy to wander aimlessly in its goofy animation and not disturb anybody, its counterpart, the monster, was all about aggression, covered with the same innocent player look. During pre-classic, mobs would spawn at random when you created a world, like unexpected party guests. In later classic mode, you'd be able to summon them by hitting the G key, but they'd only last around a minute before disappearing from existence. But monsters were the hidden type, solely accessible with mods and map editors, causing them to never spawn naturally in the game. The difference in their behavior was absolutely side-splitting. Mobs were amazingly unintelligent, absolutely stupid even. They'd walk in wonky, imperfect circles, flapping their arms wildly and nodding their heads in totally nonsensical directions. These things didn't have any survival instincts. They'd walk casually through lava as if it was a soft breeze, walk through water like it was empty space, and happily jump into the abyss with no concern in the world. They didn't know how to change blocks and would instead walk aimlessly to their death. In contrast, the monsters merely had the singular objective of killing you. Even their aggression was strange. Rather than punching like standard players, they'd simply bump into you like undead zombies, doling out damage through collision attacks. No animation to speak of, simply constant bumping until you were dead. In summary, they only existed to confuse players in Minecraft's early days of experimentation and ended up being removed after the testing phase was done. Nerd Creeper. Let's talk about one of the most ridiculous mobs ever added to Minecraft, the Nerd Creeper. This wasn't just any ordinary creeper with glasses slapped on. This was peak April Fool's energy packed into a single gloriously nerdy package that showed up during the Java Edition 3D Shareware version 1.34 update. Getting a Nerd Creeper to spawn was already a joke in itself. You couldn't just find them wandering around in the new revised world specially made for this prank. No. Instead, you had to type in the cheat code NERD with 5 E's like you were playing some retro arcade game from the 90s. Comedy gold at its finest that perfectly captured the absurd spirit of this April Fool's update. Behavior-wise, this mob was basically a regular creeper wearing a disguise to a costume party. It acted exactly like its explosive cousin. Same hissing, same sneaking up on you, same earth-shattering kaboom that would ruin your carefully built structures. The Nerd Creeper was essentially a reskinned creeper with one key difference that made it special. Instead of dropping gunpowder like normal creepers, the Nerd Creeper would drop something called the 3D item when killed. Now here's where things get beautifully useless. If you ate this 3D item while your hunger bar wasn't full, it would show you a picture of Minecraft's developer cast. That's it. No special powers, no game-changing abilities, just a photo of the people who made your favorite game. It was completely pointless from a gameplay perspective, but absolutely perfect as a meta joke. In an update that was already completely unhinged and filled with ridiculous references to old shareware games, having a mob drop an item that basically served as a digital autograph was the kind of wonderfully silly touch that made this April Fool's update legendary. Smiling Creeper. Say hello to the nicest villain in Minecraft's history, the Smiling Creeper. This cute contradiction of character showed up in the April Fool's Love and Hugs update and brought the essence of an update that was all about converting Minecraft's hostile world into the world of peace and love perfectly. The Smiling Creeper appeared to be identical to any normal creeper with the exception of a cute smile on its face. It also behaved like any normal creeper and even exploded like any normal creeper. And that was where the similarity tapered off entirely. Imagine this, you're peacefully finishing up your base when you turn around to hear that classic hissing that sends the hearts of all Minecraft gamers into a flutter. Expecting the destruction of your home as it gets blown into smithereens, you see instead the most adorable and harmless explosion in gaming history. An explosion of heart and flowers. No blocks destroyed, no damage taken, not even a hole left behind it. Instead, all that was left were some poppies, gorgeous red flowers scattered throughout the blast area like confetti from a party. There was only one small flaw in his otherwise wonderful gesture of generosity. You couldn't harvest these poppies. They were like virtual trinkets, pleasant enough to view but entirely useless in crafting and collecting. The Love Golem. Imagine if Minecraft's toughest village guardian suddenly turned into a pacifist cutie. That is exactly what happened with the Love Golem in the April Fool's Love and Hugs update, with the effect being part adorable, part the utterly useless. The Love Golem essentially was what you'd have if an Iron Golem had undergone some sort of dramatic life makeover and realized the strength of love and friendship. This bubblegum-hued giant is supposed to be an embodiment of villager love, a fitting match for its cute color scheme as well as the heart symbol visibly displayed on the left side of his chest. It's as if someone had taken a battle-hardened warrior and had it dressed up for Valentine's Day. What made the Love Golem so interesting was the way it spawned and acted. It would appear in the same exact circumstances as natural iron golems, to protect villages or as created manually with the use of iron blocks by players. The creation process even remained the same, so players looking forward to the powerful guardian would end up with this soft pink giant who seemed to have taken a pacifist oath. What does that mean? Basically that the Love Golem had completely abandoned its protective duties. While Iron Golems are known for their fierce loyalty and willingness to punch any threat into oblivion, Love Golems were totally passive. They wouldn't attack monsters, hostile mobs, or even players who were actively causing trouble in the village, rendering them completely useless in case of an attack. Luckily, every mob in Minecraft became a pacifist softie during that update, allowing the Love Golem to get the peace it longed for. Diamond Chicken. Diamond Chicken is an uncommon variation of the normal chicken found in the April Fool Java Edition 2.0 update. The special mob had a mere 7% chance to spawn, hence being far tougher to encounter than regular chickens. What distinguished the diamond chickens from all the rest was what they dropped. Rather than the usual eggs, the diamond chickens would drop diamonds and lapis lazuli. This made them highly desirable to players looking to gather precious materials without needing to mine. The concept of being able to have a diamond-producing chicken is simply just amazing, yet these mobs had some serious issues. Diamond chickens were neutral mobs, so they wouldn't attack the player unless something angered them. They had two significant behaviors though, which made them undesirable to have in the game. Pressure was the first issue. The diamond chicken would explode just like a TNT block if it felt too much stress or pressure from the player. It would blow up, destroying structures and killing the player immediately. The chicken would also perish in the blast, so you'd lose the valuable diamond-laying chicken. Its second issue was even more peculiar. Diamond chickens did not enjoy the attention of being looked at by players. When one player stared at one diamond chicken too long, the chicken would get frustrated and angry. When it did, the diamond chicken would call in additional diamond chickens to show up and attack the player. This summoning capability rendered diamond chickens very dangerous in large numbers. What began as one irate chicken could easily end as an entire group of hostile diamond chickens attacking the player. The explosive nature combined with the summoning capabilities helped to make these mobs valuable as well as hazardous to deal with in the Java Edition 2.0 April Fool's update. Pink Wither. The Pink Wither was the one-off variant of Minecraft's boss mob which has appeared in 2 April Fool's updates so far. The mob appeared in the Java Edition 2.0 as well as the Love and Hugs update, but operated differently in the two instances. In Java Edition 2.0, it was possible to summon a pink wither with the use of a potted rose atop pink wool. This varied wildly from the conventional wither summoning process. When spawned in such a way initially, the pink wither had only one head rather than 3. This rendered it much less powerful than the standard wither initially. The pink wither had a peculiar sugar mechanic. It would track players who had sugar in their hands, much like the way a pet would follow his owner. When the pink wither was fed sugar, it gained extra heads. Unlike the regular wither, the pink wither could not fly. It was grounded, which reduced the danger it posed compared to the flying wither. When the pink wither roamed about shooting, an incredible thing would happen. Rather than killing everything as usual with regular wither skulls, it would shoot love beams that would grow flowers and plants surrounding the impact, as well as speed up any crop in the radius. In the Love and Hugs update, the pink wither functioned differently. It replaced the regular wither entirely and spawned with 3 heads immediately. It still exploded upon spawning and had a shield after taking half its health away. The skulls it fired were the same as the regular wither skulls, but with the color pink replacing black. The pink skulls came with the bone meal effect instead of the regular wither effect, making plants grow rather than destroying them. The skulls were, however, random in their effects, either healing or harming entities at random. Pony and Cow Horse. The Pony and Cow Horse were 2 fake horse mobs in Java Edition 2.0 introduced in April as part of the 2013 April Fool's update. They were Mojang's satirical reaction to one of the features in greatest demand from the community. In 2013, the horses had yet to come to Minecraft, but the players were always requesting the inclusion of horses in the game. The community desperately wished to have rideable horses and continued to ask the developers to add the feature. Rather than implementing the real horses, the developers decided to have fun with the players at the time by developing these mock horse mobs. The Pony and Cow horse mobs were not really new mobs to begin with, they were just the existing animals with the textures changed. The pony was just a pig that had been given horse textures to make it look like a small horse, while the cow horse was a cow that received the same treatment, getting horse textures applied over the original cow model. They didn't have any special uses or abilities either. They couldn't be ridden like regular horses, nor did they have any practical use in the game. They would simply appear at random in the world as would their natural counterparts, cows and pigs. Their only really noteworthy oddity was their food addiction. The pony and the cow horse would follow any player who had apples or sugar in their hand. This following behavior helped to make them horse-like, as real horses would enjoy these foods. An absolute joke that properly angered many players who wished to see real horses in Minecraft. Luckily, the horses were actually added after that update to not mess around too much with the players. Redstone Bug. The Redstone Bug was a hostile mob found in Java Edition 2.0 released on April Fool's Day, and it is one of the greatest meta jokes Mojang has ever created. This little mob resembled a silverfish but had far more to it than its surface level appearance. To grasp the brilliance behind the redstone bug, one has to be aware of Minecraft's history with redstone bugs. Players had complained about bugs and redstone circuit problems for years. Redstone would act in weird manners, redstone circuits would break spontaneously, as well as redstone builds would simply stop functioning inexplicably. Players would work for hours to build redstone devices only to have them malfunction due to these bugs. Rather than just correcting all the redstone bugs as usual programmers might have done, Mojang opted to make fun of it. They actually took the idea of redstone bugs and created them as living creatures which would spawn in the game. It was their silly way of responding to all the redstone complaints whilst presenting it as if the bugs were now a game feature rather than an issue. And worst of all, claiming that these little bugs would help you instead to debug the issue. It was the ultimate demonstration of taking a negative into a positive with inventive game design and humor. Redstone bugs would only spawn as redstone wire grew stronger in signal strength, with only a 1% chance to spawn. Having such a small spawn rate meant encountering one would be relatively uncommon, which amplified the shock value as players initially found them. As hostile mobs, the bugs would attack players in a manner silverfish would attack, pretty far from helping you to debug the redstone issue, but that was still a great meta joke that players really appreciated.